Sarah Midkiff. I am a music photographer and videographer.
Hey, I'm Michelle Grace Hunter and I'm a professional music photographer that lives in Melbourne, Australia.
So my name is Lindsay Blaine. I'm a live music and portrait photographer based in Vancouver, BC, Canada.
I mostly shoot bands on tour. I do single and album artwork. I'll do behind the scenes stuff, press and promo images, concerts. If it's in music, I'm probably shooting it.
I work with a lot of bands, both on a local level and a touring level, shooting promotional images, creating live session videos, and I tour with bands as well, creating photo and video content, mostly for their social media.
I came to work as a professional music photographer about 10 years ago, and I actually fell into the industry. My husband bought me a camera for Christmas. He kind of noticed that I like to document things, I guess, and I fell into the local music scene here in Melbourne pretty organically actually. I started to document hip-hop in the local scene, and that's where I really got a taste for shooting live music and creating local-based artists, portfolio images, album covers, press shots, things like that.
I got started with music photography when I was about 17, so about 10 years ago. Initially I had started out photographing, my friends and nature and stuff like that with a film camera, and then I had such a passion for music at the time, and I was constantly going to local shows and whatnot, and eventually I realized I could combine those two passions.
And when I started interviewing bands, I started photographing the bands I was interviewing. From there, I started, the publications that I was writing for didn't obviously own the photos. I had the license to my photos. And so when management or labels would contact me after the interview came out, they would be like, we love the interview, we love the photos, and they'd ask whether or not they'd be allowed to use the photos.
I think the pros and cons for working in our industry are we get an incredible work-life balance. We get to work with artists that we love and have admired for many years. It can be really exciting. Love, touring and being on the road, and also love doing studio shots and working one-on-one with artists and being able to create a vision for, I guess, their brand.
I really value building those connections because, especially if you're working with an artist and touring and stuff like that, you're gonna get a better kind of view into the behind the scenes than if you're just kind of on a really superficial level with the people that you work with. So it's really important to build connections as you go, both on a local level and with bigger artists that you might be working with.
I really like that the people I get to work around are other creatives. It's very nice to work with bands and feel like you're just cut from the same cloth. You feel like they're a piece of you basically.
It's also pretty cool that I, for the most part, get to make my own schedule when I'm at home, and I can work pretty much any time of day, and I can do my work pretty much anywhere that I want to.
I'm really passionate about working with artists to create that visual around how their music is heard and how all of that marries together.
It's great to feel like I have some autonomy over what I do because I have the creative direction bit. Getting to have these ideas and then work with people that you like working with and then making that thing exist.
The cons of it, being a freelance photographer / videographer, would be that work can be really inconsistent.
It can take a while to get regular income built up. It probably took me about 5 or 6 years before I had that flow really nice, and I felt like I wasn't hustling as much, and the work was coming steady.
It can be very informal, and so sometimes it is the lines are very blurred. I've worked with artists and it's oh, we're really good friends and we work together.
With tours, you're away from your family and friends and stuff like that for often long amounts of time. I personally don't mind it, but a lot of people really struggle with homesickness and stuff like that when they're out on tour.
Not financially that stable. You can get to a point where you get more financially stable, but back invoices needing to be paid, just confusion over rates and everything, and people sometimes approach you to work for free on something, and unless you love that project, you don't really want to be approached to work for free, because it's your career. But it can be very difficult. I remember when I was first starting, you just at any given time have like, you know, thousands of dollars in invoices that were owed to you that hadn't been paid yet. And you're like, you know, I need to pay rent, I need to get food, like very real, tangible things being held up because you were waiting to be paid for work that you'd already done.
One piece of advice I would give myself when I was first starting out is to really enjoy the moment. I think like it's been 10 years now and I barely took a breath to kind of look back and see what I had achieved. It's just been constant, pretty much since the day that I picked up a camera, just the hustle and personal projects and trying every year trying to be bigger and better and work with more prestigious artists and bigger clients, and you know, the hustle never stops. So sometimes it's good just to sit back and reflect.
Connect with people on your local level rather than just shooting for the stars right away. You know, maybe you've done photography for a while but you've never photographed a show. So definitely take that time to search for local bands or local venues that might be able to kind of take you under their wing, and you can collaborate on projects and kind of like hone your skills and get a little bit better at it and build your portfolio. That is like the most important thing.
I would just say like shoot as much as you can, especially when you're first starting. You just need to be able to show that you can do the work, and like I would show that I could do the work and worry about rates of like immediately after, but later, but shortly after. I remember when I first started, it was a bit frustrating because I felt like in order to get a job, they want to see that you not only could do it, but that you had already done it in a way. Like if I wanted to shoot a tour, everyone wanted to see that you had already toured. Also, be nice to the security guards and the managers, the venues, because I've gotten gigs before just because I would shoot at a venue a lot and they'd always see me around, and then the manager of the venue would offer me some like repeating like house gigs where I would come and just shoot for the venue. So I'd say like the small industry, be nice to everyone because you never know. Like everyone ends up having such circuitous journeys and you never know where those people end up, but you always want them to remember that you were nice to work with.
The things that I think people should really improve on themselves if they're looking and working in this particular sector is your people skills. It's really important to have great relationships with people. I think sometimes even more above your technical skill. The relationships you have with people and the friendships you have are often what actually gets you work, and it sounds really cliche, you know, it's kind of who you know, but like that is actually a real thing in our industry. I don't like to use the word networking because I really think that it's very corporate and sounds a bit cliche, but it's really just relationship building and having really solid friendships, and that's with, you know, potentially other photographers or, you know, people in PR or labels or the people that are going to hire you.
Make yourself valuable, make yourself someone that they have to work with and not someone that would just be nice to work with.
It's really important to start on a local level and build up those connections and build that trust. And once, you know, bigger artists or management or whatever can see that, you know, you're really good at creatively coming up with concepts and stuff like that, and working with artists on a smaller level, they're going to be more likely to be like, okay, this person is someone that we want to hire.
Not just doing photo, but doing video as well, and also getting into creative direction. So it was like, you have to show that you can be useful to them in more ways than one.
I think it's really important to bring your own ideas to the table, as well as, you know, kind of work with what they're giving you and what they want.
My favourite client to work with probably is Rule. It's the biggest project that I've worked on over the last kind of 3 or 4 years. I love working with him as an artist. The whole team is like a family.
I really love working and touring with Dear Rouge. They're a band from here in Vancouver. They are super amazing, talented, awesome individuals, nicest, sweetest humans ever. I also really love working with Lights. I do a lot of her promotional photos, and I shoot a lot of her shows if they're kind of close to where I am at the time. She's such an incredible human being who's like so multi-talented with music, with art, with all sorts of stuff, and it's always fun getting to work with her and also getting to see what she's working on.
But but I want to do more creative direction. My like dream role would essentially be to be Big Rock, basically. Like, I love him. And just have like a handful of bands or even like an artist or two that are like the ones that I work with a ton, because I love when I can build those relationships and like create, and there's like, you're familiar, so you just create better and better work because you are like really tight knit and you feel like you know each other really well and can trust each other.
In terms of future goals and ambitions, I hope to be touring more. Tour right now is kind of just a part-time thing for me, but I also love being at home in Vancouver because it's such an amazing city and there's so many people here that I love working with as well.
We create an online like masterclass program for people that are wanting to enter as a music photographer. I probably get, I don't know, 10 or 20 emails and messages a week about how can I do what you're doing, and at the moment it's either impossible or just takes so much time to respond to people. So I'm really looking to create some type of really simple but educational online class where people have a directive to where they can go and the first steps and what they need to do, because it can be really overwhelming when you start.
Either work in-house at a label or with like management and be a creative director that also like shoots and creates what the ideas that they're coming up with.
I think I want to dive more into the video side of things and doing a lot more music videos and stuff like that as well. Right now I kind of tend to be like a one-woman show with all of that, but I would love to be able to work more within a team and be able to bring more people on to kind of help execute my ideas for videos and stuff like that.
I've got another major project in the pipeline at the moment, which is actually working with people outside the music industry that I'm really excited about. I just started that maybe 2 months ago, so it's yeah, I've got really big plans for that, and yeah, super exciting.
Don't be afraid to speak up and be like, hey, I actually think that this approach is working better. We should do more of this, and kind of, you know, change it up a little bit. I think that shows that you're willing to, you know, take the initiative and challenge yourself and challenge their ideas of what they thought would work.
Don't just look at Instagram. Go to art museums, look at photo books, watch documentaries, become obsessed with film. Like, look at things that aren't just what everyone else is posting on Instagram, because I think that will give you a lot more like original ideas, and that'll inspire things that'll look different than what everyone else is doing.
So it's really important to recognize when maybe something isn't working and when you need to change it up, and being able to follow through on that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Sorry it took me so long.
Well, thank you for having me on this little show. I hope this video is okay and not too long and rambly, and I hope you're staying safe and you have a nice day. Okay.